Which one's the best crypto asset? Well, Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Okay. What's the second best? There is no second best. There's no second best crypto asset. There's a crypto asset. It's called Bitcoin, right? Right? There's no second best, okay? You do not sell your Bitcoin. Thank you. Thank you.
Never sell your Bitcoin. Those are the words of Michael Saylor, CEO of MicroStrategy, or now the newly rebranded Strategy. But with the Bitcoin market supposedly dead at 80K, it seems like so many people are just willing to accept and, even worse, endorse a whole bunch of FUD. What am I talking about? MicroStrategy released its 8K filing. And apparently, some of the wording in that filing has spooked some Bitcoiners and some investors. Now, before we dive into the details of what this wording is, some people in the Bitcoin space don't know what an 8K filing is for a public company. So let's go through it quickly. Simply put, an 8K filing is a report that companies have to file with the SEC to announce any major events that shareholders should know about, and included in those events are, of course, financial events. The public businesses that file 8Ks, as a rule, have approximately 4 business days from the event that triggers the filing. Now, you might be wondering what type of event actually triggers a company to have to file one of these 8K reports. Here we go. Here's a short list. It's not all inclusive, but here's some examples of the reasons why you would see one of these reports filed. Entry or termination of a material definitive agreement, completion of an acquisition or disposition of assets, bankruptcy or receivership, changes in control of the company, changes in certifying accountants, resignations or elections to the directors, appointments or departures of key officers, changes in fiscal period or financials. And that right there, that last one, the changes in fiscal period or financials, is the reason why this 8K was filed, because due to the new accounting rules, MicroStrategy had to file an unrealized loss of $5 billion based on the value of their Bitcoin holdings. Now, before this sends you running and you're freaking out and thinking that's it, it's the end of the world, it's unrealized. It's unrealized losses, okay? He hasn't sold, he hasn't lost any of that money. For the regulars of this channel, you may know that I am not a giant fanboy of Michael Saylor. I don't really have any heroes, not just in this space, but just in life in general, because I understand that we are all humans. We are all susceptible to flaws. None of us are perfect. And, you know, putting somebody on a pedestal essentially just creates a scenario for failure for the person that is putting the other person on the pedestal. So that being said, you know, I'm always critical of any of these public companies that are purchasing Bitcoin. And, you know, I'd most likely be the first one to sit there and tell you guys, oh, yeah, no, that's it for MicroStrategy. But in all fairness, what we saw in this 8K report was really just a giant nothing burger. But that still doesn't stop the FUDsters of doing what they do. And let's take a look at some of the junk that came out based on this 8K filing for MicroStrategy. So we've got this post over here. How it started: never sell your Bitcoin. How it's going: we may be required to sell Bitcoin to satisfy our financial obligations, and we may be required to make such sales at prices below our cost basis. Now, we are going to get into those statements because I did go through the 8K report. The 8K report is in the show notes for you guys to go through if you decide you want to go through it yourself. But I found 2 sections where this type of wording was put in place, and I just want to provide some context around it. But before we get to that, let's continue with some of the nonsense. Here's another post. But Saylor can't get liquidated. So why did MicroStrategy write this in their latest SEC filing? Let's give some love to the Pleb Underground sponsors. I don't have an actual ad read for this or anything. It just says T. Selly says, fuck you, Greg. Head on over to Archimedes Emporium. They make absolutely beautiful Bitcoin branded products. They just dropped their first one. It is the solid aluminum Bitcoin clock. I had to get my hands on it so that I could show it to you guys. Take a look. Really, really nice piece. Beautiful craftsmanship. Head on over to archemp.co. The link is going to be in the show notes. That is Archimedes Emporium. Head on over there. Okay, so where did they get this information out of the 8K report? So first of all, it came out of the general risk assessment for the business. So here's one of the statements that is causing a bit of a stir. Okay, we may not be able to regain profitability in future periods, particularly if we incur significant unrealized losses related to our digital assets. As a result, our results of operations and financial condition may be materially adversely affected. So here's probably the bigger one that's causing the most panic right here. As Bitcoin constitutes the vast bulk of assets on our balance sheet, if we are unable to secure equity or debt financing in a timely manner on favorable terms or at all, we may be required to sell Bitcoin to satisfy our financial obligations, and we may be required to make such sales at prices below our cost basis or that are otherwise unfavorable. Okay, so this is, in all fairness, this is legalese. This is standard legal language that you see in all of these types of reports. Okay, so there's something that, and again, this acronym is most likely not going to show up anywhere, but if you worked in the corporate world, you've probably heard this acronym before, CIA, right? Or CYA. Cover your ass. Now, that is exactly what that language is there for, okay? That language is there in order to be transparent, okay? It is meant to minimize liabilities. It's not like they haven't been telling you the whole time, right? It's like, hey, we're telling you right here, there could be factors, right? Factors outside of our control that we are currently unaware of that may affect the business. And as a result, in those dire consequences, we may have to sell Bitcoin. That's essentially what they're saying. But let's be clear. MicroStrategy is not selling Bitcoin. And believe me, right? Like you guys, for the people that have followed my channel, you know my stance that I believe that business has to become cash flow positive without its Bitcoin holding. So I'm one of the first people to criticize this and be like, that's it, they're selling Bitcoin. I'm just telling you, that's not true. MicroStrategy is not in a position right now where they are in trouble, where they have to sell their Bitcoin. And if we take a look at their, if we just look at their financial picture, okay, the overall financial picture without any earnings at all, okay, no money coming in at all, they have at least 2 years of runway, okay, and that's with not a penny coming in. That's with not being able to raise another cent. So I want people to take this information with a grain of salt. I saw a lot of posts yesterday, all of a sudden saying that's it, they're selling their Bitcoin. And of course, right, because of my bias towards public companies that don't make enough money buying Bitcoin, I was like, oh, well, here it is. It's starting to happen somehow, which I found kind of strange because we're right like in the lull of the bull market. Right, we still have another, in my eyes, we still have another leg up. So I was like, oh, okay, I guess this is happening now. But the more I dug through it, when you look through the AK document, all that AK document was done for was to express their unrealized loss. There's no actual action that is happening right now where MicroStrategy is preparing to sell their Bitcoin. So yeah, sorry, it's just a giant nothing burger. MicroStrategy is not all of a sudden going to start to dump their Bitcoin onto the market. That's not happening, contrary to the FUD you may be seeing. I believe the following post echoes my sentiment from Cena. I had him on the show for an interview a couple of weeks ago. I'll put a link to that at the end of this episode for anybody who wants to go and catch up on it. But essentially, and again, right, he's also not a quote unquote fanboy of MSTR. Okay, like what we are trying to do is think accurately about these things. Okay, like we're not trying to sit there, like I'm not trying to sit there and pump my own hopium bags so that I wrecked myself, right? I'm trying to think accurately about this stuff so that I have accurate expectations. Anyways, so Cena said right here, he goes, whoever posts this, and he's referring to the FUD about MicroStrategy having to sell their Bitcoin from the legalese wording in their 8K filing. Whoever posts this obviously has not read any financial statements before. This is boilerplate lawyer speak that has been there before. Nothing new. False criticisms like this are worse than blind worship. Okay, one last post to kind of help provide some counter narrative. Okay, fellow Bitcoiner LP Capital, he said right here, he goes, from their 10K filed for full year 2023, sailor liquidation FUD and blatantly false posts like this come around bottoms. So that's interesting, right? He's insinuating that we're in the bottom of the bull run. And in all fairness, right, this is the type of stuff that you do see. Now, I will grant this. We see this type of news all the time. Right? This is just convenient news right now at the lull in a bull market. But yeah, guys, this is all just FUD. The language in there is legalese. You'll see when you actually go take a look through the document, the place in the document where the wording is about selling Bitcoin, it's just about risks to the general business. These are this is just vanilla legalese wording. Okay? Nothing is actually happening. Anyways, guys, that's all I wanted to talk about today. I'll catch you on the next one.